Good to go. All right, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this meeting of Finance and Corporate Services Committee. We're going to get right into it. We've got a busy day, a busier evening ahead of us. There are a number of consent items. Can I get a mover for the consent items? Moved by Councillor O'Dooney. Any questions on any of the consent items? Councillor Chapman?
Well, I'm not sure if I have any or not, but I didn't want you to move on until I got
Sorry?
organized.
Can you lift up your mic there? I didn't hear you.
I'm just trying to get organized here. But
Oh,
yeah,
no
I had a
rush.
question about 3.1 and 3.2. I guess it's kind of together.
The brownfield, yeah. So I'll take that as a motion to move those out of consent. Those in favor? Any opposed? That carries. Councillor Chapman, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, this had to do with the report states that there are no financial implications on capital or operating, on the operating or capital budget, but what exactly does this mean? Because there are, anticipated tax losses, right, from what's being proposed.
Who would like to take this one? Oh, I don't see anyone. Sorry, you have to hit your button to cue in. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you back there. Can you hit have you hit your microphone button? Okay, it's not showing up, Madam Clerk. Oh, there you go. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, there are no financial implications. The reason is prior to the remediation, the difference between the taxes prior to the remediation and after the remediation, that's the incremental amount that's given as a grant. So what that means is that our base still stays the same, but we are giving that incremental tax grant to cover some of the remediation costs. So after 2 years, we'll be getting that. Okay.
Okay, Councillor Chapman. Mayor Roberts, did you say you had a question from consent? Yes. Okay, take your time. No rush. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Thanks. Well, I just actually wanted to talk about the issue that I think that I walked in on with Councillor Chapman, and that's the issue of the tax incremental grants. Is that what we were talking about?
Brownfield. Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if staff can provide a bit of an overview of how we got to this point, because this is an issue that is a concern for about, I think, 10 applications, if I recall correctly, impacting the City of Kitchener, and some that are impacting others. It's one that I know the province is also paying close attention to because of some challenges in terms of the region recognizing their piece of it. So I'm just wondering if staff can sort of give us an overview of how this came over to us. I know some of it's talked about in the report, but just for benefit of the public, how this came over to us, and the rationale behind moving forward, at least on the city portion, since the issue continues to be debated at the region. So I don't know who wants to take that. Maybe it's
Mr. Reedman.
Yeah, I was going to say, it might be a Mr. Reedman question.
Yeah, through the chair. And so for the last few years, we've been working on a transition plan with respect to Bill 23. And so one of the items that the region has more recently flagged is the issue of participating in the community improvement plan for this, which they're asserting that they've lost planning responsibilities and so therefore can no longer participate. We've tried to work with the region to understand possible paths forward, and ultimately, they're asserting that they're unable to participate in this at this time. Under the existing community improvement plan, there's a section that allows us to continue to participate without amending the community improvement plan. And so there's a section that states that either the region or the City of Kitchener can discontinue in this without having to amend the full plan, which allows us to continue to bring forward our portion of the TIG at this point in time without the region looking to participate. And so, while we were eager to see this program participate in its full process, we're bringing forward the city's portion at this point in time to make sure that the developers are receiving their funding for the work that they've done under the premise of the plan that was created.
Okay, thank you. And just further to that then, Mr. Reedman, it's our understanding, and you can clarify this, that there is really two paths for the region to go on this. One is where the region can move forward on this issue, or a second one where the region could wait or look for the province to do it. But there's nothing, as far as we know, preventing the region from doing this on their own?
Through the chair, and so we've shared information with the region through our legal department that outlines a path that potentially could be used, which is under the Municipal Act, it's section 365.1. The region's legal team does not share the point of view that we share. And then there's another path under a different portion where the province could enact a regulation to continue to move forward. So we think there are two potential paths that could go forward, but that's up to the region to choose how they participate in those paths.
Okay. And I guess my last question is pertaining to, so we're dealing with a couple of them today. I do know that there's a number of projects that were sort of in the queue between the region and the city. Is this then a methodology that the intention would be that we would use it for the other projects as well at some point in time? And you can just maybe provide a brief update on that?
Through the chair, and so as we finalize complete applications, our intent would be to continue to bring forward the city's portion moving forward. We're optimistic of the region finding a path to be able to participate in this, to look at their portion of that. We're not precluding them by advancing at this point in time, and so if they're able to find a path, then they can continue to move forward. But we think it's fair to applicants that have applied under the process that they receive at least the area municipality share of the tax incremental grant moving forward.
Okay, thanks. Has somebody moved this yet, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Councillor O'Dooney moved everything.
Okay, so just briefly, if I can just make a brief comment, I just want to thank staff for actually looking for a solution and not keeping those who invested in those projects waiting for the city portion of this while the regional portion gets worked out. It's unfortunate that, quite frankly, the region didn't flag this earlier on in the transition process, and that we're at this stage now. I know this is a source of significant concern for the project owners, and one that the province has concern about as well. We certainly are advocating with them, but it's also my hope that the region may reconsider and use the option that's available to them for a quicker solution here locally, as opposed to looking to Queen's Park when it appears clear that those possibilities exist here in the region.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, if you could just key back in, just a question for you as member of Regional Council. Is this going to be dealt with in the near future at the region, like in terms of going one way or the other?
Well, I guess what I can share with you is that thus far the region has taken the position to the project owners and told them to go advocate with the province. Certainly I've shared with them that there is another option that the region could take, and trying to look at what the best path forward may be. Certainly the project owners have communicated with the province, and I've certainly communicated both with and our staff have with both elected and staff officials in the minister's office and others.
Okay, thank you. It has been moved, so those in favor? And that carries. We'll now move on to our discussion items. The first one, Mr. Hagee is going to be kicking us off. I understand he has 10 minutes for the asset management plan. It's been a while, Mr. Hagee. Welcome.
It's not a budget thing either. So this is the other half of my portfolio, dealing with asset management. And I'm here, and I'm excited to be here talking to you about it, about the city's assets and what I think is a good news story. Oh. There we go. So I'm pleased to say that with the approval of the asset management plans here this month, Kitchener will continue to be up to date on its requirements under legislation related to asset management. It's important because failing to do this means that we may be precluded from getting funding, like for instance what happened this morning related to the Kirk. And so having our asset management plans in place allows us to continue to apply for grant programs and hopefully continue to get funding from other levels of government. Based on our most up-to-date information, the city's assets total out, their current replacement value is $15.1 billion. And as shown in the graph on screen, an overwhelming majority, or 83% of those assets, have a condition rating of fair or better. And from what we understand from the consultants that helped us put this together, the condition profile of City of Kitchener's assets are above average compared to their other municipal clients. And so that's a really good news story for us. That in part has to do with the decisions of the current council as well as previous ones in investing in those assets as opposed to just waiting until they fall apart and then trying to deal with it on a reactive basis. This graph has that same the same information from the previous one, but it's broken down into service area, and it shows us two things. The first part is that it shows the current replacement value for the different assets by service area. And that's indicated by the length of the bar. So the longer the bar, the higher the value of the assets in those individual classes is. You can see that the long bars, generally in the top half of the graph, relate predominantly to assets that you'll find in the road right-of-way. So the road as well as the pipes underneath it, with the exception of facilities, which is about halfway down. That means that over 14 million of our 14 billion of our $15 billion worth of assets are predominantly in the road or in city facilities. The second piece of information this tells us is the condition of those assets. And you'll see a lot of green and a lot of yellow, and that's good news for us. That means that the condition of those assets is generally pretty good. There's only two exceptions to that. You'll see about halfway down the facilities line a big chunk of orange, and that means that those facilities are in poor condition, or the assets in those facilities are in poor condition. And that just means that they're more likely to have failures that can interrupt service delivery. The other color you'll see there that's a little bit odd is gray. And if you look at the sanitary up near the top and the stormwater about in the top third, you'll see two big chunks of gray. And that just means we don't have condition data on those. The SSU division is aware of it, and they'll be working to gather information about what the condition of those assets are over the next little while. Through the review that we've just undertaken, we've got an updated infrastructure renewal gap, which is just over $300 million. The areas leading to that gap are not a surprise. It's facilities and gas, and these are ones that have been discussed with council through previous reports, either coming from asset management or those individual areas. As has been the case in the past, staff will bring forward fact-based information and recommendations to council on how to improve that gap and how to close that gap. And any solutions that we look at are going to have to be multi-year. We realize we won't be able to close this gap in just a single year. It would be too expensive. We wouldn't have the resourcing and the staff to pull that off anyway. And so we'll look at dealing with this over multiple years. And we also understand that affordability is one of the considerations that we'll have in any solution. And finally, closing things off, approving this report doesn't mean that we're at the end of our asset management journey. It just means we're done with this part of things. Through the review, our consultants identified a few areas of improvement, and so we look forward to taking that information with the asset management group, kind of developing work plans on how we can address some of these things and continue to improve going forward. That's it, Mr. Chair. I'll close, and if there are any questions, I'll try to answer.
There are at least one question. Councillor Chapman.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the report. On page 6, it refers to recent reports from Kitchener Utilities about the gas utility.
Yes.
And natural gas rates have included indications that higher rates will be needed in future years to properly address the need for more spending on capital renewal. And I was just wondering if staff is considering moving away from natural gas rather than just, repairing or improving the current infrastructure.
Ms. McGoldrick's going to jump in for that one.
Yeah, so through the chair, the Kitchener Utilities Clean Energy Transition Strategy is evaluating what are the energy transition needs of the future and how to prepare for our energy future and potential energy futures, plural. And so that the asset management aspect of the gas utility is very much a part of that body of work. Twofold. One is we want to make sure we have a good understanding of the condition, and we're working with the University of Waterloo on some more innovative condition assessment approaches. And then through energy transitions, we want to make sure we don't have stranded assets, and so that we're investing in asset renewal in the right places. And so that's through the analysis of what that future holds. And so that's an existing body of work. We're excited by that work, but certainly the asset management planning framework falls within that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I just have a couple of questions. Mr. Haggie, so this is a process that we need to undergo now as well. Can you comment, if you don't know, that's fine, but can you comment on how the results of our asset management, the results that have come out of it compare to other local municipalities or like the general standard Ontario across?
So I'm not familiar with our closest neighbors, but the clientele that our consultant SLBC worked with said that we are generally in a better place than others. The ones that they're familiar with, anyway.
Okay, that's good to hear. And I'm trying to understand, or trying to make it clear what our financial challenges are going forward. And the gas utility deficit will be borne out by gas rates, so that's something we don't have to worry about, like on the tax side, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I guess the only question I have in there is we're not regulated by the OEB, but we generally follow their guidelines.
Correct.
I can't recall other people that are, gas utilities that are regulated by the OEB, do they have to apply for rate increases the same sort of way that the hydro utilities do? And I guess they would have to use a similar process then to justify their increases?
So I'm not super familiar with it, but yes, generally there is an application process that they would have to go through for rates, and they would have to consider the value condition of their assets in bringing forward rate increases or rate changes.
Okay, and because we're not regulated though, we will try to mirror those, but we will have to build in that $6 million a year over time, and that's the intention?
That's likely the intention. I don't want to say we're coming for $6 million starting this year by any means, but yes, we believe that over time we'll need to increase up to that $6 million in order to have the right replacement schedule.
Okay, and maybe the wrong time to ask then too, I do recall the dividend from the gas utility, I recall it was pretty much frozen going into the future. Do we anticipate that changing at all as a result of this work?
It's not a discussion we've had internally about adjusting that at all. Yeah.
Okay. On the tax side, and I want to make sure I understand, I know that the stormwater, the gray part wasn't in there, but I'm just trying to understand the full scope of our infrastructure deficit. So
Sure.
If we were to raise $25 million in tax, raise the levy this year to that amount, which I guess would probably be around 18% or in that range.
Yeah, we're 1.6 million or 1.7 million is around 1%. So
it's got higher, so probably closer to like 14, 15. Anyway, does that mean that we no longer, I'm not obviously not going to do that, but if we did do that, does that mean we no longer have an infrastructure deficit?
It means that we would have funding to do it. Whether we can pull off the projects is another question in order to do that. But yes, over the next 10-year span, we believe that we could essentially have no infrastructure deficit there. The reality is, though, we will continue to have some assets that are in good shape, some that are in poor shape, so it doesn't mean that there will be absolutely no issues. It just means that if we were to get all of that funding and do all the projects that we think, we should be done, but that's only for this next 10-year window. What's sitting outside would be different, so there may be something big kind of waiting out there that we would have to address, and so we don't anticipate that we'll ever completely have no deficit, which is, again, a reason that we want to take an iterative approach and deal with these things over time.
Very good. Councillor Singh, question?
Yeah, thank you. I think it's, without question, the facilities is the most worrisome, looking at the overall update as to the deficit. As Councillor Davey has already said, some of the other deficits that are from our utilities does give some faculty over time to build it into the, by the ratepayer. And the ratepayer decides how much they want to use that utility, so it's equitable in that way. But facilities is where we'll have to figure out from a tax base. Like, what type of incorporation are we doing to prolong the life of some of these facilities so that we can over time meet this deficit? Are we looking at trends through new technology? Like, what is this aspect of what's driving us to looking at at least the facility side?
Ms. Goldrick?
So through the chair, Councillor Singh, you are absolutely correct that our operations and maintenance team does a fabulous job of keeping our facilities running and addressing problems as they arise more reactively than we would like in terms of our approach to facilities, but we are shifting to a preventative maintenance program to get ahead of some of the repairs. But often what's happening in the background, members of the public, facility users, and council will not see because we have a fabulous maintenance and operations team doing a lot of the work. One of the things in terms of a near-term strategy is we are looking at an assessment program of our most critical elements of a facility to ensure that we can continue to run programs and services out of facilities that are in poor condition, and so to address those most urgent issues. And so it's about investing in the right place at the right time to ensure that our facilities continue to run. And so that program is already underway, but it includes critical systems like HVAC, roofing, and other elevator systems, those types of things. And I think with aging infrastructure, there's also an opportunity. And so I know this council is very supportive of greenhouse gas reduction initiatives. And certainly as we look at replacement of existing, we're also looking at how to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, how to replace with better serving technology to meet our goals and targets. And so that is an opportunity associated with aging infrastructures. As we replace, we can do better.
Okay. I think the takeaway, the first one I liked, which was Councillor Singh, you're absolutely right. That's a good takeaway. And the other is more so that our effort's going to be to prolong a lot of these facilities. So it's not necessarily that they're at a point of tear down and rebuild. A lot of it is extension. Okay, all right, thank you.
Sorry, just to jump in through the chair, kind of related to that, just because it's in poor condition doesn't mean we can't use it. It just means that there's more likely risk of breaking or failure or not operating in the way it should.
Okay, there's no one else in the queue. I would need a mover for this, if I could. Councillor Singh, thank you. Just by way of comment, I was actually, despite the large price tag, it actually wasn't as scary as I was worried about. Obviously, Ms. McGoldrick said it too, credit to our staff that have kept our facilities in the great condition that they're in. I can say in my years on council, I have heard, maybe some of our facilities are a little older, but I've never really heard anyone complain that the condition was less than they had expected. I'm also really happy to hear that the City of Kitchener is ahead of the other municipalities generally in terms of the condition of our assets. That's huge, because that is one of my biggest concerns going forward. And finally, the reason I love this work as well is it gives the mayor and I guess other mayors across the province the exact numbers to look to speak with the federal government, the provincial government on more regular sustainable funding with their infrastructure deficit. So I'm happy to see all of that and happy to support. Councillor Singh, comment?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think you touched on what I really keyed in is to address that. I think there needs to be sustainable funding model from the province and the federal government for us to be able to afford the facilities that we have built in. And again, this isn't a City of Kitchener problem. This is municipalities across Canada problem. Within the property tax base, it's just near impossible for us to be able to meet that aging need. So it has to be kind of Century 21 initiative for federal and provincial governments to come together to support the municipalities. And I'm glad that you addressed the advocacy part, Mr. Chair. And the other thing I want to say is I almost feel a little shy saying it because I know our staff are so competent that would do this regardless, but I think it needs to be still acknowledged and addressed, which is we've gone through cycles of economy where we were in a recession and there was a lot of funding available from other orders of government to initiate, I guess, build local, support local type of things. We are in the preface of maybe that era again, where there is some uncertainty as to how the overall economy in Canada will be, and if we are hurting, one way to stimulate, hopefully the federal government will see a large initiatives like we saw in 2008 of supporting municipalities through infrastructure building. We did it back then and we built new. As we come forward, I just want to address with staff, let's look for opportunities where we can look to repair as opposed to necessarily build new. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Rabinovich.
Yeah, thanks, thanks, Chair Davey, for speaking to the issue. And I mean, it is good to see this report, even though the numbers certainly are sobering. But it does, I think, remind us of really what the ask has been in the lead up to the last provincial and federal elections, and that's that, we need a new fiscal framework, something that recognizes that cities in the 21st century are dealing with very different issues and problems and challenges and infrastructure investments than we've dealt with when Canada was formed back in 1867, and responsibilities were divided up between the federal, provincial, and local governments, with of course local governments being creatures of the province in terms of the municipal act that exists in each province. I mean, this is something that I think we need to continue to advocate for, both with Ottawa and with Queen's Park in our case. We do know, depending on how things evolve in terms of the tariff and trade issue and the economy overall, that investing in infrastructure and significant city building or nation building projects is actually the best kind of investments the government can make in terms of tackling those challenges. And so I too appreciate you raising this issue. It has been part of our advocacy. I mean, we had an OBCM meeting just last Friday, and it was certainly a topic of conversation there in the lead up to AMO in August, and it's something that we'll continue to advocate for, both for us as an individual community, but for cities and communities from coast to coast to coast as well. Thanks.
Thank you. And finally, Councillor Ioannidis.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Davey. And yeah, Ryan, I really do appreciate the work you do here at all levels. It's nothing but stellar. I mean, when you look at the one key stat here, 15.1 billion of our assets, and 83% of that is in the condition of rating fair and better, that's no mistake. That's something that this council and staff and senior management back in, I guess, 2011 or 12, when we decided to get into asset management before any municipalities were getting into it. So I think that's a huge testament to everyone involved. And I'm definitely hearing this from my colleagues around the horseshoe with our advocating for asset management. Even though we're better than most municipalities, I still want us to have our fair share, regardless whether our assets are in good shape. But as I've learned today, we have really good grant writing teams with our Kirk So in the raising of the beam, so let's use that assets, and no pun intended, and, you know, make sure we get some more dollars down the line.
Okay, thank you. There's no one else in the queue. It's been moved by Councillor Singh. Those in favor? And that carries unanimously. And our final item, fee for paper billing. Mr. Soleil is going to have a presentation for us. Good afternoon. Go ahead, be ready.
Thank you, Chair Davey, and thank you, members of council, for the opportunity to speak today. As you're aware, Canada Post has increased their postage charges by 25% starting January 1st, 2025. The city spent approximately $1 million in postage in 2024. The majority of the postage budget relates to the mailing of tax and utility bills. It costs approximately $1.50 to mail out a paper bill. At this time, approximately 50% of our residents are enrolled on e-billing. The report in front of you today explores the feasibility of charging a fee for paper bills. So what does legislation say? So the Municipal Act provides direction on how property tax bills are to be delivered. Section 343(1) of the Act requires the treasurer to send a tax bill to every taxpayer. Section 343(6.1) allows the treasurer to send a tax bill to the taxpayer electronically if the taxpayer has chosen to receive the tax bill in that manner. So what this implies is that the permission must be given from the taxpayer to enroll on e-billing. Section 343(7) requires that where a taxpayer directs the treasurer in writing to send a taxpayer's tax bill by registered mail, we can add the cost of the registered mail to the property tax account. So because 343(7) directly references mailing costs and when to charge them, and there's no mention of fees related to mailing of standard bills, city staff's position is that such fees are not authorized on standard bills, although there is no explicit prohibition in the Act to charge fees for standard bills. The Ontario Energy Board, or the OEB, provides direction to gas utilities on how the utility bills are to be delivered. The OEB has previously ruled that Enbridge could not charge customers for paper bills, nor can they automatically enroll customers on e-billing. Again, the implication here is that permission must be granted by the ratepayer to enroll them on e-billing. Kitchener Utilities follows and adheres to OEB decisions. Unlike Kitchener, most municipally owned utilities across the province do not provide gas and therefore are not obligated to follow OEB decisions. So this slide shows e-billing enrollment for the municipalities. As you can see, Kitchener has the highest enrollment on e-billing at almost 50% in this comparative group. None of the municipalities in this group charge a fee for paper bills. This table shows municipalities who do charge or are going to charge a fee for a paper bill. The City of Quinte West charges $1.50 for utility bills only. Sioux Lookout charges $3 for property tax and utility bills. And the Township of Wilmot has not yet started charging a fee for paper bills, but has approved this fee through the 2025 budget process. Again, these municipalities only have water utility and therefore not subject to OEB rulings with respect to utility bills. So staff has investigated the feasibility of three options. Option one, which was to charge $2 for every paper bill to be mailed out. And option two, grandfathering existing customers, charging new customers a fee. Both these options are not inconsistent with legislation and the OEB's previous ruling. The recommended option is option three, which is to enhance the promotion of e-billing to a targeted marketing campaign. So this option offers a balanced approach, avoids creating any new financial barriers, is most inclusive, fiscally responsible, and helps protect the environment. It also aligns with the OEB's past decision and does not appear to conflict with any legislation. So staff will to implement option 3, staff will develop a multi-channel communication strategy, which includes, for example, I'm almost done, offering incentives such as contests, inserts in utility and property tax bills, in-person and telephone support for residents. Although we have one of the highest e-billing enrollment rates in the province, we believe we can still do better. Therefore, we feel strongly that this communication strategy is and will help continue to increase e-billing enrollment. And that concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Slay. There are a number of questions, beginning with Councillor Michaud.
Thank you, and thank you for your presentation. I've received, since this has come to public, I've received some messages from seniors in my ward who are concerned about this fee for paper billing. And I think that when you give your presentations from 1 to 3, 2, my first thought that came before I even saw that was, could we not grandfather this for the seniors that have been paying their taxes for decades? And I think, although there's 50% that are online and pay it over their laptop and their phones and whatever, we've got a fairly good sector of society who don't have computers. And I think it's kind of, I feel like it's kind of punishing seniors for not being able to keep up with the times. And although it's a small $2 a fee, I'm wondering if we could look at the grandfathering. I know that wasn't the choice that you represented.
Yeah, through the chair, the issue we have is it's inconsistent with legislation, both OEB and the Municipal Act. And that's why staff's not recommending option 1 or 2 or the grandfathering.
So does that mean that we can't do it? We just have to?
We are recommending we don't do that because it's just inconsistent with legislation. We don't believe we can do it.
Okay, I'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, that is the frustration, Councillor Michaud. Councillor Singh?
Yeah, Councillor Michaud, again, staff are recommending that no action, primarily just focusing on promoting people to go towards e-billing. It is frustrating. I agree that we can grandfather. I think even to separate from seniors or not, just grandfathering everyone that's already registered right now, but any new customer, being someone that's new to Kitchener or new utility ratepayer, that the fee be applied. So it's already understood going forward what the difference is going to be. But that aside, I think this is more of a bit of a comment. I want to congratulate our staff, really, to show that 50% of our utility payers or taxpayers are on e-billing compared to what we saw 4% and 7% or 3%, just goes to show what we're doing is already working.
That's correct, yeah.
So the carrot, is definitely, the way we're applying it, seems to be working, as opposed to stick that others are using. So I'm happy to move the recommendation, Mr. Chair, when the time is right. And the other thing is, I think we have to go a step further in promoting. One thing that was missing there, I don't know if staff need a direction or this is just understood, but I think there needs to be a presence in all our events. We have active audience, we have people there, it allows us to have conversation from our finance team so that people can, it could be a draw, whatever, right, come raffle. Yeah. If you're on paper billing, you register for a raffle, you can win something. I think we can really up that from that 50% and higher. The other is suggestion, treat it like a competition. You have 10, including the mayor as well, 11, very active people who are engaged in our community. Do like a ward contest, whichever ward gets the most people signed up, right? Work with our mayor and council office, how we can possibly have the language to be able to promote the e-billing option when we're talking to various constituents. So there's a number of things that we can do beyond what we've done already. Those are the 2 recommendations. Again, I don't think it needs to be necessarily an amendment, but I'm hoping as a suggestion staff can incorporate into it to begin with. And again, I'd be happy to move it.
Thank you. Councillor Chapman?
Yeah, I was going to move it, but no. Yes, thank you for this report. I just had a call 2 days ago from a senior who said, I don't have a computer. I heard through the grapevine that this is happening, that we're going to be charged or, we're going to get cut off and we need e-bills. And so I reassured him that that was not what the staff report was recommending, so I'm very happy to hear this. And I'd have problems with the grandfathering part, because then it would mean that new customers in 2026, if I'm reading this properly, they would only have the option of e-billing, is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah.
Right, and I don't think we want that. I think we want to ensure that everybody who needs a paper bill gets a paper bill. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Stretch.
Yes, thank you. My question is around the cost of running the promotion around option number 3. Do you anticipate there being an increase, or is it just more of a targeted promotion strategy?
I think it's more of a targeted, again, through the chair, it's more of a targeted strategy, but we believe that the cost would be offset by not paying for postage.
Okay, thank you. And have you considered, I'm happy to support option 3, but has there been any consideration of having the cost perhaps lowered for the amount, so not paying the full $2, but $1, say, to help balance some of that need and price associated with it?
So, sorry, through the chair, again, the same issue we have here is that it's just inconsistent with the legislation. Charging a fee is inconsistent with the legislation.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Rabinovich.
Thanks. I will support the motion that Councillor Singh is moving forward. I'm glad that's where it's at. I know, and Councillor Davey, I think we all appreciate your fiscal diligence in looking for ways to either raise money or save money. But this is one where clearly it doesn't, for better or for worse, doesn't align with the legislation, and particularly when it comes to the gas utility, I think, and the OEB. It's really important that we sort of don't do anything that rocks the boat in terms of that relationship, because as you know, it's only us in Kingston who have this special relationship in regards to our utility. We want to make sure that we can continue to maintain that without doing anything sort of that's out of the ordinary. I think I too want to acknowledge when I saw those percentages, like, staff really rocked it in terms of getting people to sign up, and I think we can continue to do that through promotion. Maybe offering I don't know, a $10 coupon or $10 off or something. I think Councillor Singh's idea of actually using all the festivals and events to have a City of Kitchener booth, that's, combination of city and utility operations and so on, is a great way to promote the community and all the great things that are happening here.
Thank you, Councillor Ioannidis.
Yeah, thank you, Chair Davey. Thanks, Solly, for the report. I guess my question would be, we have such great adoption, 50% compared to all the other municipalities. What are we doing differently to achieve such a pretty amazing target, in my opinion?
Thank you, through the chair. So we've done a few things. We've done contests, which have been successful, especially when we started with our new e-billing solution. We've done inserts in tax and property tax and utility bills. Again, we've also done customer calls in. We've just actively promoting to our customer service representatives. We've been actively promoting e-billing also, and also on the website. So we've done a few things.
Okay. Because I really like how this has been penetrated with residents. I'm wondering, this is a little bit of outside of the scope, but when we're looking at promoting the distribution of property taxes, can we be this diligent with the way we are with this program, so that way we can get that message out? But anyways,
I'll take that as more of a comment than a question, if you don't mind. Councillor Ioannidis. Sorry, before I go for the second round with Councillor Singh, just Soleil, so I'll be frank, I'm disappointed in the legislation. I'll save some of this for my comments, but is there, Mayor Rabinovich referenced the ability through the campaign to try and move people over. Is there an ability for us to credit, like to provide an actual cash incentive for saving the money on new signups? And is that something that you're going to explore yourself, or would you need council direction to do that?
No, I think we can take that direction. Like we've done it in the past through contests, like utility bill credit. We can do that. So there's no direction needed on that. So we can just do it.
Okay, and maybe it's semantics too, but when people sign up, people come into our community, it did say in the legislation that a paper bill, unless they opt to have an electronic bill. Can we not structure, however that is, whether it's online or in person, that the default option when they're filling it out is online and they have to somehow go further down the page, check off the paper billing aspect of it?
So the response to that is that to sign up for e-billing, you need your first bill. And once you get your first bill, that's when you can go in and sign up for e-billing.
Why is that? Why do you have to get a first bill in paper?
There's some security questions they need to answer, including the account number. There's a security control that's in place.
Okay, I'll put some thought towards that. Councillor Singh, second round. Oh, Mr. Lautenbach?
So to the chair, just to add, I believe in terms of Enbridge and the decision that was in relation to them charging a bill was also in relation to defaulting in terms of signups. And so the ruling was against providing sort of that default option as well within that decision.
Okay, that's helpful, thank you. Councillor Singh?
Yeah, so a part of the printing cost, the postage cost, there's a printing cost as well. What's referenced in the report,
Right.
does that include the overall cost of that mail being sent, or is that just for the postage alone?
That's just the 1 million you're referencing is just for postage.
Okay, so for council's perspective, I think it would give a good understanding. It's great that we're almost 50% there, but the other 50%, what is the overall cost to the printing? So that's the postage as well as very thick paper that we use. So this has been a bit of a pet peeve of mine. I don't know why we use a heavy letter stock as opposed to, low letter stock, because it may cost cheaper. But knowing what the printing cost overall would be for each mail being sent, postage, envelope, and the paper that's being printed, what is the overall cost of that mail?
Yeah, through the chair, I can tell you that $1.50 does include the printing costs.
$1.50 does include
Yeah,
printing costs.
per standard bill. So
And that includes the full cost of it?
that's correct. Yes.
Okay. It's less than I thought. I expected that paper to be a lot more expensive. Again, Councillor Davey addressed something about perhaps, as an incentive where someone could get a little bit of a rebate because it's costing us $1.50, perhaps it could be 50-cent rebate back. But then if you were to go in that direction, would we mean the fact that we're so far along with 50% of inclusion already in e-billing, then that we would have to potentially give a rebate to those that have already opted in without that incentive?
No, through the chair, no. There's some benefits to enrolling in e-billing, and I think it's one of them is environmental sustainability, and it's a shared responsibility.
Right.
So I don't think we would go back and credit everyone, give everyone who's on e-billing a credit.
Okay, and so that's why I would think some more thought does need to be given, because I think that's where some pushback will be received from some, saying, hey, I adopted early, why is someone now getting a credit as opposed to when I did it on my own accord, I didn't. So I think more thought does need to be given. But as you said, we are 50% there. When would we get an update? Is it a year from now, 2 years from now? Is it built into this report already? So we can see the recommendation that's being adopted, how we're faring going forward. And at that point, we may need to address, do we need to use a stick at that point? If we're not having much success going past that 50%.
Yeah, through the chair, we can certainly look at a year from now. We can bring back an information report if you like. We can certainly do that.
I think that would be helpful. So if Mr. Chair, as part of the motion, if he can amend, just as an update as to see what the success, is a year enough? I want to be fair to staff. If with the direction that's being recommended, is a year enough to see much of a change, or?
It does take time. So I don't know what the right time frame is.
Okay. I think then at least 2027, it should be addressed again to see what we need to do going forward from there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just two more quick questions. First off, I want to confirm, Mr. Slay, so in your report, you said that it was, you spent $1 million in 20, it says in postage, but is that just in postage, 1 million, or is that including all of the fees, or all of the paper and everything?
Just in postage.
Just in postage?
That's correct.
Okay, so that, whatever that $1 million figure is, that's higher counting paper and labor. Okay. And it also says that the fees increased by, the postage is increased by 25%, so we're already at 1.25 million.
That's correct, yes.
Plus whatever that missing part is. And as we're aware, Canada Post is on strike. The implication is that postage fees are only going to go up higher. Okay. So that's one part I want to confirm. The other thing I wanted to confirm as well is the other thing I didn't see in this, and maybe this is the onus is on council, but there's no advocacy piece here to give, I suppose we should advocate to the OEB, or I guess just the province, and they can go through the OEB in terms of giving municipalities the ability to charge as we see fit. So can I guess I can work with staff and bring that piece back at the council meeting. But okay, actually, I guess more of a comment than, unless there's anything you want to add in there, Mr. Slay, but advocacy piece seems pretty council-driven. Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Singh. Any comments? Thank you, Mr. Slay.
The amendment to come back.
The amendment to come back at 2027, okay. Well, you moved the motion, so you can take it all as one. I'm not seeing any comments. I'm going to comment. I brought this forward, and again, I look for every opportunity to try and make sure we're having the most efficient use of our dollars. And as we just heard, we are spending more than $1.25 million this year, $1.25 million a year on postage. It was never my intention to charge everyone a fee from the get-go. My intention was always to grandfather it in, because there are seniors that don't have computers, they're not comfortable with the internet, and that's fine. I wouldn't want to take that away from them, but that's going to be, another 10 or 15 years. Those people are, frankly, a lot of those are going to, they're going to be, the people that are tech savvy are going to be move into that older age bracket. I'm 50 years old, and I was born into the internet era, and I just see this as a huge waste of money for those that are able. And let's be honest, in that 50%, there's a lot of them that are tech savvy that are just collecting a paper bill because they just haven't bothered. The other angle in this is the environment. I'm surprised that there isn't a bigger push to stop cutting down all the trees that we're printing on paper and sending out to people. Again, those that don't need it, because that really concerns me. And there's one last thing I can leave members of committee with, is $1.25 million. If we were to wipe that out, there would potentially be a new splash pad in each of our wards in probably about 6 or 7 years. That's what we're wasting on postage. That's only going to go up more. So I understand staff coming back with the bad news they had to come back with in terms of the legislation, but I think that's something we can advocate for and something that we can push, that anyone that is able to be on internet billing or e-billing should be on e-billing. So with that, the motion is moved, recommendation is moved by Councillor Singh, along with, he amended it to make sure that staff comes back with a report and an update, as an information item probably in 2027. Those in favor? And that carries unanimously. And that